This is Pat Cosgrove, and I'd like to welcome you to Cosgrove's Cosmos. In recent videos, I've talked about the plan for my observatory, and I've talked about getting land for my observatory. Now I have land and a plan. How do I get started? We'll be exploring that in this video, so let's get started. One caveat here. In this video, I'm going to share with you what I have done or what I'm planning to do. I'm not going to suggest that this is the right way or the only way. It's just what I've done. So take that into consideration for what it's worth, if anything. First thing I decided to do is talk with a town building inspector. After all, this is the guy who's going to end up being involved with issuing the building permit. And as the inspections happen, he's the one who's going to decide if he's happy with what's happening here. So it makes sense to get him involved early on. So I set up a meeting and sat down with the building inspector. I showed him the property I wanted to build on. I showed him the plan for the observatory. He was quite interested because he hadn't seen too many plans for observatories before, so he had some questions, but they were very reasonable questions, and he seemed to think that things were pretty straightforward with the project. In the end, he had no problem with the plan. He was familiar with the area where we were going to build the observatory, and he knew the drainage was very good there, so he didn't have any concerns about the build having any impact on that. His main concern was to make sure that the observatory building itself respected the property setbacks, which were 20 foot. We also talked about the fact that I wanted to run power out to the observatory. And he was indicating in this particular town, he does not do the inspection for electrical, but there's a third party inspection service that we would need to call to bring that in. But all of that seemed pretty straightforward. And he would expect that any electrical contractor who is installing things would know how to do it right and would have no problems with any inspections. I got to tell you, I've talked to the building inspectors on several towns now that I was considering buying property in. Many of them seemed very bureaucratic in how they interacted with you. It seemed like there was never a clear answer to a question. It's like they were very afraid of saying something they might be pinned down on. And when you were asking opinions, you often didn't really get them. And that was kind of frustrating. I was really pleased that the individual in our town who has that role seemed like a very reasonable, straightforward person who gave clear answers to questions we asked, raised the concerns that he had so that we could talk about them. It was a very constructive exchange, and I was pretty confident that working with him, we could get to where we needed to be. Next thing I thought I needed to do is start to have some builders in to take a look at the plans and take a look at the actual site where we would be building. Now, I've had these plans looked at by builders in the past, and I've gotten quotes for the observatory. But these quotes were based on just the plans. They really were assuming you were on some kind of flat ground. And the ground we were going to build on was not flat. There's a little bit of a grade there. And being in a neighborhood, there might be other issues. So I wanted to get builders out to take a look at the actual site and the plan and come back with a pretty reasonable quote based on what they saw there. Now, I didn't feel like just any builder would be the right builder to talk to. Most builders have a very specific way they'd like to go about building houses. They've developed it over the years and they feel like they manage their costs that way. When they have something they're unfamiliar with, sometimes those costs go up just to pad the things they're uncertain about. When I decided what builders I wanted to talk to, I thought about the ones I had talked to in the past who seemed like they weren't afraid of different projects and saw differences in technology challenges as something they really were excited to work on. So at this point, I had three options I was exploring. One was the fact that since I was inspired by the West Texas Observatory, their observatory was built by backyard observatories. So I thought that might be one place I might go to see if I could get a quote. The issue with backyard observatories, of course, is trying to get hold of them, where they are geographically in their build schedules, whether they can get to your region at a time that meets your needs. I didn't know if that was a possibility, but I did try to reach out and contact them as one potential source. Another builder, I'll call him builder number one, is one we ran into when we were looking at builders for a custom house. These guys were on the cutting edge of build technology, were willing to embrace the risk that goes with being an early adopter, and seemed really excited to take on different kinds of jobs. So I asked them to come in and take a look at it. The second builder was one that was recommended by a friend of mine who had had a very elaborate observatory built. And this was the contractor used, and the guy did an amazing job. He also had a couple other buildings. One was a commercial building, and one was a garage that was built. was really happy with the contractor and thought he'd be someone I should talk to. So I reached out to all three of these builders, and I was able to set up an appointment with the two local builders and have them out to the property so they could size things up. I never heard back from backyard observatories. I'm still trying to contact them, and if I have some luck there, I'll see if that's a possibility. So, having talked to the builders that I could talk to, the next step was wait for their quotes. In the meantime, the next thing I wanted to focus on was the positioning of the observatory. Where exactly was I going to put it in the backyard? I decided I would take it towards the back of the property. The reason for that is it's the highest part of the property. And it's also the point where the grade sort of rolls off. It's flatter. There's not as much slope to deal with. Being higher up in the property means that my view to the south is even better because I'm basically looking over houses and looking over trees. So I have a pretty good view there. Second issue is I wanted the main axis of the observatory and the roof to be lined up on the north-south line. So I was able to stake that out. The next consideration is where I wanted to put it from the east-west perspective on the property. If I move the observatory towards the east, I'd be closer to tall trees that I have no control over, and that would cut off my sight lines there. On the other hand, if I pushed it more towards the west, I open up some of the sight lines on the east, and the trees that I'm going to be closer to on the west, which might be a bit of a problem, are on my property, so I can either remove them or bob them. So, with a basic location in mind, I put markers in for the corners of the building. I put markers in for the corners of the outriggers where the roof would roll off when it was open. And these markers were such that low enough that I could mow over them without disturbing them. But they had holes in the top where I could put fiberglass poles when I was out there trying to look at how things are being situated. I think I have the final positioning pretty much worked out, but before I finally committed, I wanted to bring over some of my fellow astro imagers and have them take a look and see if they agree with how I've positioned things. All right, I'm now looking south, and this is the very back line of the observatory. You can see one corner peg there, one corner peg there. That's where the outriggers would start. And you can see the other two lined up, and that's due south, and that's my southern sky. Now, this is the very back of the observatory itself. This is the center line. And you can see the two front posts there and the actual corner post here. This is the main building itself. And again, you can kind of see what the sky looks like here. It's pretty open. This is about where the piers would be and about the height. And as I pan around, you can see a tree there that I'd like to do something about. Those trees there will come down, as will some of those. To the north, I still clear the North Star up here, and so I can do alignment, but the trees are blocking where the light glow from Rochester is, so I'm not in a real hurry to take care of that. Over on this side, I have some high trees here. Many of those are mine. I can bob those down. And then as I get down in here, the land drops enough that it really opens out that southern boundary. That looks great. In order to get the building permit, I'll need to have a site plan. And according to the building inspector, I could have a site engineer draw up that plan, but it would be perfectly appropriate if I took a site plan, drew in the observatory by measuring off the corner of other features that are on the property, including the property stakes, so they know the exact position of it, and use that for the building permit submission. So once I'm confident about my positioning, I can go out, I can start taking those measurements and mark up a site plan that we'll need for that building permit. As I laid out the position of the observatory, a few things became evident, and I began to start making some changes to the plan. One of the things we realized when we had the positioning in place is that the southern elevation of the observatory would be very noticeable from the back of the house. The back of the house has some large windows, and it's a nice view looking up the hill. But if we have an observatory up there, and that end, which is pretty utilitarian, is what's being seen, it may not be very scenic. And so my wife was concerned about that, and we decided we would think about some changes to the plan for pure aesthetics. So we decided to consider putting in a door and a couple windows in order to make it look more like a cottage or something like that, make it visually more appealing. And then I think we're talking about having a serpentine walkway that would go from the back of the observatory down to our deck, carve a nice path through the backyard. These things are not really that functional. They do improve the aesthetics. And since we are going to be staring at it, we decided that was worth doing. So we came up with a concept of what that might look like. And that's something that we were using when we talked to the builders. The second thing I decided to do was change the piers. Originally, the plan called for 12-inch concrete piers. But we realized if we ever wanted to sell the property, what use would this observatory be to someone who's not an astrophotographer? But we decided that we could clamp the roof down, and if we could remove the piers, it turns into a storage shed that could be very handy for people. That could have some value. But we can't do that with four big concrete piers taking up the space where you do storage. So what we decided to do instead was remove the concrete piers and instead we'll use steel piers that are bolted to the foundation, which will be below the floor level. So if we ever sell the property, we can clamp the roof closed, and then we can remove the steel piers, put some cover plates over where their foundations are, and now I have a storage shed. So that was another change we decided to make. Another step that I have not yet taken, but I'll be doing soon, is bringing in some tree service folks to take a look at the property. As I indicated, there's some trees that I want to remove, and there's some trees I want to bob. And I'd like to get various tree service guys in to come in and give me a quote. I say various because all tree service guys tend to have different equipment. And our experience is those people who have the right kind of equipment to do high level trimming is probably what we want here, since one of the things I'm considering doing is not removing trees, but bobbing the trees. So I have some. So I so at this point, I have a list of contractor names from various people I know who have done that kind of work, and I'll have them brought in so they can give me a quote for the tree work that we're going to want to do. Now, I'm likely to do this sooner rather than later because having that done will actually have benefit to me as I bring my telescopes up the hill and do imaging even before the observatory, even before we start the build on the observatory. So I'm more likely to do that quickly rather than doing it later in the project. Next thing I wanted to deal with is hardware issues. A lot of builders have no experience with the hardware necessary to create a rolling roof observatory. So I've told them that I would identify the hardware we would need. I would order that and I would have that on hand. That's also true for the system that would open and close the roof. All they would need to do is to install them in the way I specified. So there was another area I had to do some work on. I had to look at tracking hardware, roof opening systems. Since we're thinking about going to steel piers, I had to look into creating custom steel piers that would meet my needs. And I also need to have some roof lockdown hardware that I'm going to have to provide. One set is a manual set of lockdowns that I would engage when the observatory is not going to be in use. A secondary set of lockdowns, which are passive, so that when the roof is fully open or fully closed, it would be locked into the frame of the building. That's another area of hardware that I'm going to have to research and source. And some of these things have significant lead times. So I thought it was important to start getting a handle on the research for that. Now, I'm not going to cover the details of the hardware there because each of them is their own problem set, and I'm likely to do a video on each so I can share that with you in more detail. So what happened with my builders? At this point, I've had no response from Backyard Observatory, so it's not likely we're going to be able to work with them. I didn't think that was going to work out, but I figure it was worth a shot. I got the quote back from builder number one. That kind of set my head to spinning. That quote was 3 times what my budget was and almost 4 times what their original quote was. I assumed that by giving me such a large quote when their original quote was so low, that this was their signal that they weren't really interested in the project. So I gave them some feedback on their quote saying that they were way off the mark and way off what their original estimate was, and that if they really weren't interested in the job, that's fine, no harm, no foul. Just let me know, and we'll just part ways. We won't take up each other's time. They did get back to me and say, nope, I guess we didn't really understand what you were looking for. Well, give us a couple days. We're going to go through the quote and try to bring it more within your expectations. That was 2 weeks ago, and I've gotten nothing back from them. So I'm kind of thinking that they're bowing out of the project. Builder number two came back with a very interesting quote. It was certainly within my budget. It did what I wanted to do, but proposed a very different way of constructing the building. Rather than doing the traditional concrete and block footers and stick construction, this builder proposed going to a pole barn construction method using the permacolumn system to enable the construction. The permacolumn system uses the main poles, which are constructed of concrete, so there's no wood going into the ground, and then a wood member above that. And the concrete is 3 times the strength of normal concrete, and since it's keeping the wood out of the ground, has much improved longevity over more traditional construction methods. Other people have suggested to me that I might consider doing this, and often a pole barn kind of construction goes along with a wood deck floor, or no floor, and neither of those options seemed appealing to me. Didn't really want a wood deck floor because the space under it seems to be an ideal place for critters to come in and nest and be a problem. However, in this quote, what he proposed is doing a pole barn method of construction, but still pouring the slab for the floor so I wouldn't have those concerns. So this method of construction would save quite a bit of money, probably on the order of about $13,000 in concrete costs. And it's one of the reasons he was able to bring the proposal into the budget that I was looking for. So I'll do a little bit more research on that, but it looks very positive. The downside here is because the method of construction is different than what is in my blueprints, I'm probably going to have my blueprints redone and stamped so that we know that the loads that are specified there are reasonable. So that'll probably cost me a couple $1,000s to do that, but it's going to save me $13,000 in the long run. It's probably worth doing. So this is a very interesting proposal. And as I've interacted with this builder, he seems like he's really knowledgeable. He's very flexible. He's easy to talk with, and he seems to be willing to adapt parts of the project the ways I would like to adapt them very easily. And so this is looking pretty promising. I've talked to the building inspector, good interaction there. I've had my initial conversation with some builders, and I think I'm zeroing in on not only a builder, but way of doing the building that will meet my budgetary needs. I've looked at the positioning of the observatory and where it's going to go. I've begun to assess what trees I'm going to take out or bob, and I'm going to be bringing in tree service folks to deal with that. And finally, I've done some deep dives into the hardware that I'm going to be responsible for sourcing for the observatory. The tracking hardware, the roof opening hardware, the piers, and some of the lockdowns. As I said, those are kind of interesting topics in their own, and I'll probably do a video for each of those. But I'll be posting more videos on these areas and other progress as I make them. Thanks so much for spending some time with me today. And as always, I welcome comments and questions both on this YouTube channel and on my main website. And in particular for this observatory project, as I share with you what I'm doing and what I'm thinking of doing, your feedback and suggestions for how I might do this even better would be very welcome. And so for Cosgrove's Cosmos, this is Pat Cosgrove signing off and wishing you clear skies and excellent seeing.